Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Welcome to the Australia Post Horror Part 7. Now, I've had a problem for a week with Australia Post. I've had plenty of problems with Australia Post, but just lately there is a parcel that was held at one of the post shops that I was not able to get delivered when it's supposed to be delivered. And I went through several customer service people who were abusive and aggressive and obstructive and just refused to help, and just all I needed, because basically I had a parcel go through to should have gone to the parcel locker, go through to the post shop, and when I called to have it put through the parcel locker, they told the guy there's another parcel here, but they didn't give him any information, no tracking, no addresses, nothing. So he made up a bunch of assumptions. Once I realised he was just making up things and guessing, I asked him to call back. He couldn't get through, and his attitude was an issue, and I hung up, and basically I said, no, fine, I'll speak to someone else. So I spoke to multiple people. It got worse and worse and worse. This on Wednesday. It continued on Thursday. I called up for a couple of hours and couldn't get anyone to do anything. Friday, I called up and I wanted to, that was Thursday. I called up Friday, and all I wanted was someone to call up the post office and ask them what was the address it was sent from, where was it sent from, what address was of mine was it sent to, how long was it going to be held, because I needed to know what it was, to work out whether it was worth getting someone to pick it up for me or whether I could just let it go back to the centre and get a refund, whether I had to arrange someone to pick it up for me, because I couldn't get it in office hours. That's why I used the parcel lockers, because they're 24/7, or whether I had to save it or whether I could just let it go. And I couldn't get any information at all, and they just wouldn't help me, and it was just insane. Now eventually no one would call, basically, and they just were being obstructive and creating problems and making excuses for why they couldn't do it. It was just ridiculous. And eventually got to this girl who I'd actually spoken to the other night, and she's like, oh my God, Stephen, they still haven't fixed this for you? Oh my God, I'll call them now. So she called them, she couldn't get through. She gave me to another manager. We talked for a couple of hours. We went through all the packages I've got on hold, which was like about 15 packages that were coming in, and we eliminated pretty much all of them. We said, well, it's none of them. We couldn't work out what it was, and after a couple of hours of talking, we just gave up. And I said, look, he said he could call, and he'd call me back and all that. I said, okay, this is what we'll do. You call them up in the morning, and if you resolved the issue, I'll see there'll be notifications saying that the item was put through the parcel locker at that store, and I'll know you've resolved it. If not, I'll assume there's notes on the case. I'll call up, I'll find out the notes, and you call me back after 5, and then we'll work out the next step. So I called up today, and I got the rudest guy called Luke, and his attitude was just, you're a problem customer. You need to obey and stay in line. You need to do what we say and follow our procedure and respect our procedure and do what you're told, basically. Listen to us, don't tell us what to do. That's what his whole attitude was, talking over me aggressively and just talking and talking, not listening. And I'm saying to him, you're not listening to me, you're just talking over me. You're not helping me resolve the problem, because what he had said was, he did say that the other guy had called at 12:45 in the morning and he'd found the tracking number. I'm like, great. It took him forever to give it to me. I didn't have time to look at it because he was just lecturing me, and I was saying, look, you are doing a horrible job. You are not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not helping. And he's like, don't criticize me. And he said, it's like, if you continue to criticize me, I'm going to hang up on you. I'm like, well, that's fine, because I need to speak to someone who's actually going to help me. So he hung up on me. Spoke to the next person, and they actually were helpful, because I went and looked at the tracking number, and I worked out what the problem was. What the problem was, this was never a parcel that was supposed to go to me. I had ordered some stuff from JB Hi-Fi when Madonna's last album came out, Finally Enough Love. I ordered that, and I ordered a bunch of Blu-rays because they had a buy two get one free deal, so I spent hundreds of dollars there. And then, but I had to call up the next week because, and just like that, the Sex and the City sequel series was being released the next week. So I called up and I did the same thing. I ordered a whole bunch of buy two get one free DVDs, so I spent a fortune. But unfortunately, one of them they sent already had that, it was already in the other order, which was Annabelle. So I had 2 copies of this Blu-ray. I didn't need it. So I called them up and I said, can we do something about this? I called up the Brunswick store, and he said, yeah, it's fine. What we'll do is we'll send you out a parcel with return postage, and you just put the Blu-ray in there and send it back to us, and then we'll give you a refund. I thought, great. So he sent this out Wednesday from Brunswick, and I got it on Friday night. I went out Friday night after AM, around 3 a.m, and I got it. And I thought it would be like a box and there'd be a separate label I had to put on it or something. It was a flat cardboard thick envelope with just barcodes and stuff on it. So I put the Blu-ray in it, I sealed it, I selected lodge a parcel or whatever, and it accepted the scan, and it opened the parcel locker. I put it in, and I assumed it was done, and I just sort of thought, well, I'll wait for a refund. If I don't get one in a week, I will look to see what happened. So I didn't think much about it. And apparently what happened was it sat over the weekend in the parcel locker, and it was picked up on the Monday, and the person who picked it up treated it like it was a parcel that had been left for 48 hours and not picked up. So they treated it like I'd received a parcel on Friday, and I had I should have had till the end of Tuesday to pick it up actually, but he acted like I hadn't picked it up, and he scanned it as delivered and sent it to the post office to be held. Now, my understanding was if you didn't pick it up, they sent it back to the sender. So I guess it's better that he sent it to the post office. But he treated it like it was a parcel that hadn't been picked up. He didn't send it to JB Hi-Fi like he was supposed to. Now, I don't know if the guy from JB Hi-Fi filled out the label wrong or sent the wrong label or what, but it was scanned like it was being sent as a parcel. So I'm assuming it went right. I don't know if this guy disrupted the process when he put it down as delivered, and because he was treating it like it was a parcel that hadn't been picked up. Like, oh, how he just got a parcel and just didn't bother picking it up. That seemed to be some of the attitude I was getting from these people. They were acting like, well, we did our job. We sent it to the parcel locker. You didn't pick it up. And now you're asking us to go to extra lengths to send it to you again, and you're asking for special treatment. Like, who are you? Like, I was getting this attitude from these people, and I'm like, what is this about? I didn't do anything. I was supposed to get this parcel sent to a parcel locker. It didn't go, and now it's at the post office, and I want it sent to a parcel locker because I didn't know. I thought it was one of the new parcels. I've got about 15 parcels in the mail at the moment. I thought it was one of them that had come in, and I didn't know what had happened. So I explained this to her, and she explained a couple of things to me, and she was really reasonable. She was like a normal person who was treating me like a normal human being. She knew her job as a customer service person. No attitude. Some of these people have an attitude like, how dare you expect me to do something for you? Who are you to tell me what to do? Or to, like, their customer service is supposed to serve the customer, it's supposed to deliver the package. And their attitude is like how dare you tell me what to do, or question me, or expect information, or expect anything from me. Just this warped attitude from these people. They shouldn't be in the job. But this other lady was great, and she said, I said, I need to speak to the other guy and work this out. And she said, well, he's busy now. I said, that's fine. He said he was going to call me after 5. I'll just hang up. I'll wait until he calls after 5. An hour later, he hadn't called, and I thought, I know he was talking to me till after 7, because he was open till 8 on the Friday. Maybe they're not open till late on Monday, so maybe it's nearly 6. Maybe he just didn't get the time. I don't want to sit here for 2 hours waiting if they're not open, so I called back. And the guy's like, no, we're open till like 8 in Brisbane, so your time. So he'll probably call. And then he called while I was on the phone, so I picked up and I said, okay, so he said, yeah, I called them and I got the information. I gave it to Luke. And I said, yeah, Luke is a huge problem. That guy needs to be fired. He does not have the right temperament or attitude for customer service. He was so arrogant and so confrontational, and he was just like, I'm going to make you adhere to our process, not I'm going to solve the problem, whatever that takes. I'm not. It was just wrong. I'm like, this guy, and this is the problem. The main problem here is that they're hiring and training new people because Australia Post is getting a lot more business, and we're heading up to Christmas. So all these new people are being trained, and most of the people I've spoken to, or some of the people I've spoken to, have been new people who are being trained, but none of them admitted it. They didn't say, I'm new, I don't understand. They just told me, oh, you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about. This is how it's done. This is how it's always been done. Even though I've been here for 2 months, I'm telling you, someone who's dealt with Australia Post for years and dealt with customer service about these sort of problems for years, I'm telling you how it's been done, how it should be done, and you're going to do what I'm telling you. And I'm like, wow, these people have real issues. They should not be working in customer service. I told him this. I said, look, maybe you think you can train them. Maybe you're not seeing this and you're not sort of seeing who they really are. I'm telling you, these people, that's their personality. It's not going to change. Just fire them. So, yes. So that was the situation I got into. And I explained to him that it was from JB Hi-Fi. And he said, oh, okay, so now that sort of makes sense. Because he was sort of assuming that it had been scanned as delivered, and it couldn't be delivered because it had already been scanned, which isn't true. They can always redo it, but usually they don't, and so forth, and they don't want to because they just like to follow their process and they don't like to stray from it, even if that solves the problem, which is just a bad attitude to have. It's not a problem-solving sort of functional sort of attitude. So I said to him, he said, well, what I'll do is I'll just email them and I'll tell them that, just this was never supposed to go to you. It's supposed to be returned to JB Hi-Fi, and I'll make sure it goes to JB Hi-Fi or return to sender or whatever, assuming the sender address is on it correctly and everything. And I said, great. I said, that's what the first person could have done. And I said, this is so ridiculous. This shouldn't have happened. The first person, they should have said to him, when they said, oh, we found a package, they should have given him the tracking number. Why on earth they didn't give him the tracking number? Or maybe they didn't. He didn't write it down because he was incompetent. But basically, if I'd just been given the tracking number, looked at this, seen what it was, I could have explained it, would have understood, could have explained it to him, and he could have just sent them the same email on Wednesday this guy just sent on Monday, and resolved the problem in half an hour. I wouldn't have had to call back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday and go through all these battles for all these insane customer service people, and all this just for this problem. It's absolutely ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened, and I just want to end this video before it gets to 11 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. If you've had similar experiences, feel free to tell me in the comments. I'm going to go, and I'm calling this video The New Blood because they're the problem.